Welcome to another episode of Out of the Pods. I'm Deepti.
And I'm Natalie, and happy Wednesday. Pod Besties, we have a special guest with us today. We have Sarover from Love is Blind UK Season 2. Welcome, Sarover. We are so excited to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
As soon as I saw you were going to be on Love is Blind, I thought to myself, I was like, yes, another Indian baddie to represent South Asian culture. And I just knew that we would get along. So I'm really excited that we get to connect.
No, I'm so happy. So thank you. It's like the perfect two people I would want to speak to. So I'm very excited.
Thank you.
No, we are like, this is the perfect guest. And I love that we were already friends before we started recording. So this is going to be a really, really good get to know.
We always ask our Love is Blind participants, how did you decide to do Love is Blind?
So it was a surprise to my closest that I was going to be on it in the first place, because I've lived kind of by the book. So to do something a little bit crazy was a bit like, is Sarover okay? That was kind of the first thing. But it was basically, for me, I've grown up with a lot of expectations and a lot of pressure, to be fair. And especially when it comes to not even dating, marriage. I could even just skip sort of the word dating at this point, because I knew kind of who my relatives, who my family all expected me to marry. And I had this like tick box exercise at the back of my mind, and it would be someone who is from a similar background to me, someone in terms of finances, job, family status. There was a lot that I knew that my parents and everybody else wanted me to marry, to be proud almost. So when you have a tick box like that, you don't have your own personal tick box that comes forward. And when I used to date, I felt like I never really connected emotionally to anyone. And it kind of made me self-doubt me a little bit and be like, am I not relationship material, or does nobody really love me in that sort of way? So it was hard, and it got to the point where I thought, I don't think I'm dating right. If And I know that sounds a bit bizarre, because when you don't date for yourself, how are you ever really going to meet the one? So when Love is Blind came up, I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect opportunity for me to actually date with an open mind, an open heart, and not have any of this tick box going on in the back of my mind. And it was one of those situations where I thought, well, I can actually be vulnerable without judgment, because I would date before and even hide things like that my parents are divorced, because I was worried that someone would be like, well, if that's the case, and kind of like just sort of dismiss me as a person. So that's kind of what led me to it. It almost felt like it was the perfect chance for me in my journey in life.
Yeah, and I think you've said this before too. This was the perfect opportunity for you to put yourself first now and not think of your family and how they would feel, or your friends. So it is kind of amazing to be put into that bubble, and it's just you and what you're looking for in a partner.
Literally, like even when I talk back to it and I take myself back to that time last year, and I'm thinking I can just feel that excitement again, because I never had that opportunity before. So even though we know what happens in my journey and how painful it was, I still have that smile on my face when I talk about why I did it.
Yeah. It's a really exciting process, because you want to believe that it truly works, and it feels like it does. And I do think in some instances it really does.
100%.
But I also think that there's factors like, are they casting the right men for you, or like the men that are going to meet your standards? So I think that there's a lot of variables, but like I think overall it's a really unique experiment that fits women who are really looking for serious partners.
100%.
But then there's also the casting part.
Yeah, there's that little part as well, to get the right guys.
Getting the right guys.
What it is though, when I think about casting, I think you can only do your best though. Like you can have all the tests, the psychology tests, the personality tests, but that's all you can go by. So it's almost like casting have to trust the person they're interviewing and going through that process with.
Yeah.
And it works both ways.
True.
And I feel like sometimes if you say what you want someone to hear, or maybe you feel like you want to give the right answers that you want to be, but you're not actually, then how do you even do it? Like, what is the miracle? There must be something out there to be like, because now we've got all this technology, surely there's a miracle algorithm out there. But at the moment, I don't think we found it yet.
Yeah. And that's the case with pods in general. I feel like when you're talking to someone behind a wall, it's easy to kind of showcase the person that you want to be.
Correct.
And it's harder to actually show that in action, later on in the experiment. So
that's
it
so
makes
true.
sense.
That's probably why a lot of us say the person we saw out of pods or off camera is different to the person we dated in the pods, because even I've said the sentence a million, well, not a million times, 100 times over, that the person I dated in the pods, I would choose that same person every time. But then why did it not transpire in the real world?
You're totally right. Like, some people just say what they feel like is the right answer or what the other person wants to hear. And I get that, because there are people pleasers, right? Like, and there are cameras, so they want to look their best, and they also, really like the person. They want to fit into a certain mold or into a person's expectations. But I think that is definitely where, I guess, the faults of the experiment and why it doesn't work perfectly. Going into the pods, though, like, tell us a little bit more about your pod experience. Was Cal your only connection? Was he like the one from day one? Like, how did you know it was going to be Cal?
So pods is surreal. That is honestly, like, you're speed dating 15 guys. Like, this is coming from somebody who could only date one person at a time. And even if you're just talking to them, I was so loyal during even talking phases. So now I'm like, it's basically, 15 guys. So it's a lot. It's, you really have to ask the right questions, and it's almost like, who makes you feel comfortable just by using the sense of hearing and listening to their voice and what they're saying to you. But with me, Cal was my strongest connection, pretty much from the beginning, and it only grew with him. There was like this progression where it went from, oh, I'm excited to speak to you, or, oh, I'm feeling this, and it just got more and more and deeper, the connection. So that was honestly truly amazing for me. I did have other good connections as well, but there was something about his connection that just felt different. And there was like this, I call it like, the anxiety butterflies that you can get. But I used to get different butterflies with him. And whenever anyone would talk to me, when it was the girls in the lounge, or anytime I was talking one-on-one, there was just a smile. And they always used to say, like, your face just lights up when you talk about Cal. So that was, it was amazing to feel a connection get stronger and stronger as the days went on.
Did Cal have any other connections, or was it just you for him?
Yeah, so he mentioned that he had good connections as well, and Ashley and Barda was other two connections. But he also then says, like, Sarover was the strongest one for him as well. So it just feels like, when you look back, you're like, oh, that was like meant to be. It just felt like it was meant to be when you hear stuff like that.
Yeah, and regardless of the outcome of the experiment and the whole situation, you look back on it 2020 and you're like, yep, that was the person I was supposed to do that with, even though it was hard. So I definitely had that moment too with Shake, I feel like.
It's bizarre though, isn't it? When you look back on it and you think, how can you still feel that that was such a beautiful time and a beautiful moment? Because I still trust what I heard to a certain extent, because things would have carried, we would still be with them if that was the case.
Yeah, no, definitely. And throughout the whole filming process, did you see any red flags with Cal that you noticed, further along the experiment? Did you notice any of that during the pod experience?
So Cal and I were pretty plain sailing. I felt like we were going strength to strength, and it was, when we got to the wedding day, it was the easiest yes ever. Like, we were so excited. I don't think either of us were nervous at all. And I think everyone around us was more nervous for us because they're coming in from the outside world, whereas we were just continuing like, but this just feels right. Like, this is a natural next step for us. So whilst I was there, and when I watch myself, I can just see that I was so in love and I was really happy. Now, obviously, looking back on it, and I was watching it with everybody else real time, and when you're not in love with someone, you pick up on more things. And I think there was times maybe I was kind of going with the flow with him, and as opposed to maybe speaking up a little bit more than I normally would. So maybe I think I got caught up in Cal's world as we were leading up to the wedding, and that's how it feels now.
One notable moment from the show was when Cal's brother is asked, like, do you think Sarover and Cal are gonna get married, and Cal's brother says no. Like, you know, and I think he says something along the lines like Cal's too like into routine.
Correct.
Did his brother ever express his opinion or that concern to you?
I have a lot of respect for his brother because his brother was honest. He knew the cameras were there. And I think as a sibling, to be that honest, knowing that,
Yeah.
you know, you're saying something a little bit that might not be in the favor of, you know, this relationship or your brother at all. So when his brother said that, I didn't know that he didn't ever say that to me when I was there. If anything, his family were really rooting for us, and they were just so happy and I think they were all taken back that A, Cal wants to get married, and secondly, this is who Cal wants to marry, and it felt very much like I was just fitting into what just this happy bubble with them. When I watched his brother say that, it took me back because I thought his brother knew him so well, and Cal knew this about himself, and I've experienced that Cal after we got married.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part is coming to that realization, because apart from that moment with Cal's brother where he expressed his concern, it seemed like you guys were smooth sailing the whole time.
Yeah.
Was there any issues at all after the pods that you experienced with Cal?
So the retreat, I felt like this strong emotional connection with him. And I saw him, and it was almost like a very small piece of a puzzle to kind of fit in, because you still need a spark, you need chemistry, and you still need a physical attraction. So I believe Love is Blind, definitely to a certain extent. And then when we went on the holiday, it felt good. It felt comfortable. It almost felt like we were an old married couple. That we didn't feel awkward in each other's company. We kind of it just worked. Now, when I look back on it, I'm thinking, should there have been a bit more excitement, because you're on holiday for the first time and you've just now met. So when I look back on it, there's things where I'm like, okay, was this comfortable because he wanted it to be like that, or was it I wanted it? You know, you really do question things. And obviously when we're at the pool party at the mixer and he brings up his usual type, it's not a red flag to have a usual type at all. That is someone's preference. Everyone's entitled to it, and everyone has a type. I think what obviously happened to me is the fact that he's seen me, he's proposed to me, he's still decided to continue, because you can obviously leave at any time. That's one thing I don't think everybody knows, that you don't have to keep continuing. You really can have a conversation, be like, look, this isn't what I felt, or I'm not really feeling this. I don't want to leave someone on, and you can leave. So for him to say his usual type and it's on physical appearance, I can't change that about myself. And I know behind closed doors he reassured me, but I saw myself crumble in that episode. And that's when I realized I became quite insecure. And I think it's from maybe that moment that I realized things I would speak up about, or things I would challenge, or things I would have a strong opinion about, that maybe I stayed a bit more quiet than I normally would. And I think that was, that's hard to look back on, for sure.
Absolutely. I think, you know, it's only a human instinct to feel a little bit of insecurity, because you're literally put into the pods and this experiment, and everyone's dating everyone. So, you know, obviously there's going to be some comparison. So like, I know that I felt that way too. And I think that's wholeheartedly normal and such a human emotion. So I get it. I've seen so many ads for hair growth products on my social media feed, and I'm always like, does that actually work? But Nutrafol isn't like the rest of them. It's the only one that has worked for me, and it's dermatologist recommended and clinically tested. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body, since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements.
I don't know if I ever mentioned it on here, but my cousin actually asked for a Nutrafol code because his dermatologist recommended it to him. So Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. I like that you can purchase online, no prescription required.
See thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code OOTP.
Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code OOTP. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code OOTP. I also think that the actual entire production of Love is Blind makes you feel like you're in a bubble. You feel this need to really talk about your affection and love for the other person all the time. So it builds a lot of like, I don't want to say like false love, but you're blindsided to the red flags. Correct. Because you're constantly talking about like how much you love each other when you're on camera and like production setting up your dates. So it feels so romantic. You know, I think that also gets in the way of like really looking at like the small things too when you're filming the show.
That's true, actually. I never really thought of it like that, but yeah, I agree. Actually, honestly, he said I love you first, then he almost led it, and I felt like I tried to hold back at times to see, because if he says it first, he does things first, then I felt more secure because I knew where my heart was, and I knew I was really falling for him, and I could feel love, and I felt like I had love for him, and it was developing into being in love. So when you have so much reassurance, it's really hard to look past it. And like even when we went on dates, like he would bring me flowers. He thought outside the box. So if you're having all that, why would you ever say no? Or where would you see red flags? You know what I mean? So it's really, when I look back and I think, oh my God, like how did we go from something so good to honestly so terrible so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I've dated an avoidant before where it's so good for the first like 3 to 6 months and then they pull back really fast and it's very confusing. And it sounds like Cal's an avoidant, where he has like a fear of commitment even though he wants it. So for me, watching the show and the reunion, it really does seem like Cal loved you in the beginning and wanted it, and then he just got fearful.
And this is it. Like he mentioned, he's had prior to me, he had 7 relationships, and he calls them, he says 7 exes, and all of them had been about a few months. And when he said that, I took it as, because he goes, well, I hadn't met the right one, so why would I just continue and waste their time? And I thought, okay, that's admirable, because then it's similar to me. Like I would go on dates if I knew this didn't feel like my person. I didn't want to lead anybody on or, you know, waste their time, because to go on dates, like we all lead busy lives. And not only that, it's taking time out someone else's schedule, that they're spending time with you, they're messaging you. So you just don't want to do that. So I honestly just thought, oh, you're similar to me in that aspect. What I didn't question was, well, why didn't you see a future with each one of them? Why did I just assume, oh, your similar mindset is similar to mine? So yeah, when I look back on it, I do see there's a commitment issue there. And then when his brother says, oh, Cal I think you would struggle to put someone else first, I was on the receiving end of that. And there is this thing where everybody says, oh, we think he was in love with you though, like we could see it. But I'm like, I don't think he knew what being in love was. I think he loved me, but I don't think he was in love, because being in love, you fight for that. And to walk away so easily and to kind of be like, I wish you well, and, you know, I'm looking for perfect, and, you know, maybe perfect doesn't exist, but I'm happy to be on my own. To say a lot of things like that to me straight up and very coldly, that means you weren't in love. And I think that when avoidant comes up, and a lot of people have said that to me, I've researched and I thought, oh gosh, yeah, I was with an avoidant, and now that is another life lesson I've just gone and learned.
That's the hard part too. And you have to give yourself a little bit of grace, because you're obviously going to listen to what someone says, but it's on him to find that he is going through a pattern and to recognize that pattern, if he doesn't break it, can hurt the person that he's with. So that's not on you at all.
When I was in a relationship with an avoidant, I had never experienced that before. Kind of that, you know, being all in and then just like pulling back so fast. Just like you said, now that I'm dating right now, I look for that information of like, what were your past relationships like? Why did they end? Why were they all so short?
Exactly.
And, you know, it's just, it's always a learning experience.
Yeah. now I've got a longer tick box exercise coming from me.
Exactly. The pool has gotten shorter because if anything, I would love for my future partner to take a questionnaire, and it's like scenario based.
We could really make a good one.
Exactly. Yeah, we should. So tell us what happened after filming ended. Like, how did your relationship with Cal change? Like, walk us through what was going on.
So after filming ended, that's basically the next day. So you're married. And he was like, let me just go back home. You go home. Like, we haven't really had a chance to kind of just settle down, if that makes sense. So I thought, yeah, that makes sense. And then he took me on our honeymoon. And we had a good time together. We really did. But it was different. I think I expected my honeymoon to be, really romantic, and you're like, the chemistry is there and it's just whimsical and it's so much fun. And I think that wasn't there. Like, the enjoyment I had with him, all that being in that bubble just wasn't there anymore. And I thought, oh, that's a bit bizarre. So I just thought, oh, it's just us navigating a relationship and again, the outside world. And on one of our I think it's like our third dinner, but an early dinner, and we brought up about living together. And he basically said to me, if you don't move to Wigan, which is where he is, so he's in the north, I'm in the south.
Okay. How far is that? Like, how far are you guys from each other?
4.5-hour drive.
Oh,
okay. Wow. So that's far. Yeah.
Yeah, really far. I hadn't actually been, I've only been to Manchester once in my life before that. And I actually said, I'm never going back there again because I was stuck on the motorway for like half a day. And then he was like, yeah, so either you move to Wigan or we might as well just end it now. And I was like, I was shocked because I thought, well, and in that moment, I remember saying, oh, well, to be fair, Cal, yeah, it makes sense that I can just up and move. And he was like, yeah, remember, like, all my friends and family live in the same area, like they're all within a few miles of each other. So, and you get along with them, like, it just makes sense. And I was like, oh yeah, it does make sense. But there was no, like, how can someone say that so easy? Because up until that point, he had told all my family and friends and myself that we would try living at Sarover's, well, where I am, for like maybe a couple of months or a month. Then we'll try up in Wigan, in Greater Manchester for a couple of months. And then we would decide together where we would want to settle. But that had gone. So the compromise there had already gone. And then there was times where I loved taking photos. I'm all about memories because sometimes memories is all you're going to have at one point in life. And he was uncomfortable with that. And I kind of felt like, why don't you want to take photos of me? Or why? It just didn't make sense. I thought we went from taking photos when we were on camera together all the time to, as in like when we were filming, to now you're not wanting to. And I actually got a bit emotional because I thought, I think I got overwhelmed because, your gut tells you. And I think my gut was telling me something is off, like this doesn't feel right. And I got tearful and he just walked away. And that was another thing.
Kidding.
Like, yeah. And he just walked away. And then eventually he came to me and he kind of put his arm around me. He goes, look, I'm not really like used to this. And I think he's just not used to seeing someone with emotions. And then, yeah, we kind of pulled it around together and then we spoke things through and we were fine again. And as the relationship progressed, we would always spend time together. I used to say to him, I'll come up to yours more weekends, but he used to love being down here. So he'd be like, no, I'll just come to you. I'll come to you. And he formed a relationship with my family, my sisters, everything. So as time was going on, we spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of things together. But there was so many moments where emotionally, or if I tried to bring up big conversations, that's not happening. I was pretty much silenced. Like, I felt like I wasn't an equal in the relationship anymore. But then he would turn it around. So every time I would get emotional, it wouldn't be addressed, but it would be like, but look, we're good. You've got nothing to worry about. We're fine. Like, we're literally doing this on the weekend. So I would almost forget why I was feeling a certain type of way. And even at Christmas, like, he got me a bracelet with 2 rings on it and it said, I love you. And it was basically to represent the fact that I couldn't wear my wedding ring. And you did that at Christmas with a very sentimental gift of a map of where we first met, where the pods were. And then literally New Year, you broken up with me. So it just, I don't know what it was. Was I being led for some reason? And why was I becoming a shell of myself and not being able to speak up? But I think the way I've been brought up is you try. And I think I was just giving it a bit more time because it was, for me, it was too soon to just throw in the towel and be like, you're not listening to me. You're not doing X, Y, Z. That's it. I'm walking away. That's not how I've been raised. So it's just, that's why I felt blindsided, because he was like, everything's good, nothing, no concerns, no worries. He never pulled away physically or emotionally or ever said he's too busy for me. And then all of a sudden it's like, we need to end this now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I literally, my mouth was just like open the whole time because I can't believe that. Because first of all, obviously 3 months is such little time to work on a marriage. And then also on top of it, you're not living together yet. So you're not even giving it a fair chance. So for him to throw in the towel like that is actually absurd.
We have said this so many times, but we love fall. Like, it is our favorite season. This is a time that I make my apartment extra, extra cozy. The moment the weather cooled down this month, I went straight to Wayfair to order a bunch of fall decor and warm blankets to cozify my space. They seriously have everything, especially when it comes to seasonal home decor, like fall colored pillows and blankets and fall inspired linens and towels. But you can also throw in things for your kitchen or really any room, like cookware or a new lamp. It's my favorite one-stop shop.
I love decorating for different seasons, but one thing about me is sometimes I'll spend way beyond my budget. So I really like that Wayfair has things for any budget and any space. On wayfair.com, you can filter by price, which is so helpful for me. And everything I've bought from Wayfair, like our podcast chairs, were delivered so fast and free.
Cozify your space with Wayfair's curated collection of easy, affordable fall updates, from comfy recliners to cozy bedding and autumn decor. Find it all for way less at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. I think for me, the most shocking part, and it goes back to what we talked about, is like where he says, oh, we're going to try out both locations and then decide. And then he just makes up his mind. It's like, why did you say one thing? Is it because you just were saying what my family and friends wanted to hear, what I want to hear? And then all of a sudden, off camera or privately, you make your own decision. Yeah. The fact he just blindsided you by like making a decision on his own
every time,
and then saying like, let's end it if, you're not moving here. That is, wow. I think you just explaining that shows how much you want to work.
I take it as, but it's also one of my biggest lessons of life, because I allowed myself to become a shell of myself and allowed myself to lose my voice in a relationship, and I still stayed. And at what detriment, at what point was it going to be too much for me to stay, if that makes sense? Yeah. So I've now learned as well, on retrospective going forward, if I'm not seen or feeling safe or feeling heard in a relationship, I'm not in the right place. I need to speak up at the expense of, I might lose this person, they may walk away, they may laugh at me, but I have to be strong enough. And I think that's the confidence I've gained now, to be like, whoa, Sarover, you were not, you were about to give up everything for somebody. That's not okay. They are supposed to give up half, and you at least meet me halfway. And that's what I've learned. Yeah. If there's no compromise, just don't be there. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And your voice is so important. I think that's what I learned after my Love is Blind experience too. The hard work kind of started after I said no at the altar. That's when you're like, okay, now I have to put in the work.
And be true to yourself. Like, have that strength to basically explain to everyone and justify the decision making, like your life decisions. And yeah, I can't imagine how hard that would have been.
At the end of the day, it's not your fault. I think any woman in your situation would have done the same thing, where you're just like, it started with like so much love and like, there was talks about compromise, and like when it's kind of pulled away from you, you just remember the person that you said yes to or I do to, and and then things start slowly changing and you don't realize like, these are big red flags, when they happen. I just love that you're taking it as a learning experience and also talking about it so other women can learn from it. I also want to talk about how powerful is it when our bodies are reacting to something, when something is not right, even though our brain is telling us like, no, like just stay in it and work hard. It's crazy how like our intuition and our bodies react to things that aren't right for us.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I was shocked how my body reacted, because obviously Cal's really into fitness, and one of the things were, okay, now we're eating together. And I started realizing that this is another thing that I found a bit crazy. So I can't do spicy food. to the contrary, that everybody thinks I'll be really good at spicy food. I literally am so I compare it to Nando's. I'm like a lemon and herb girl, and even black pepper I find a little bit spicy. And it would be like, so he was great at cooking. He loved cooking, which was good for me because happily would admit I hate cooking. And and it would just be little things. He'd be like, oh yeah, you don't eat this, and I almost felt like embarrassed, or oh no, what are we going to do because you can't eat that, because I basically am 99% vegetarian. And it was almost like, I don't know, I just felt like, why was it that I almost felt like at times maybe I should just eat certain things I wouldn't do just to make things easier. And then like with spice, like he would add on certain spices or certain condiments and he'd be like, oh no, you'll be fine, or I'll just leave it if you can't eat it. But it's like, why have we not established that you can't remember certain things about me, or you choosing to kind of ignore me? And it's like, just little things that when you look back and you're thinking, what?
It doesn't even seem like that big of a deal, but if you look back and think about it, that's an example of how he's putting himself first above all else. And that's what's extremely frustrating.
Yeah. Knowing you would accommodate for him or remember those things. And I think it just shows he's inconsiderate. I just want to get the timeline straight of how the breakup happened. So you spent Christmas with him.
Yes.
And then Cal hung out with Billy at some point.
Yeah. So it was one of their friends. I think it was like his birthday around that time. So him and Billy went to go and visit him. And I'm not going to say lads trip because I think apparently it's a trigger to use the word lads trip. So they had a trip together as friends. and basically that time was spent and he came back and Billy had brought him home, but back to mine. And they had come in and they're just chilling and chatting. And Billy was kind of expressing some of his concerns and his sort of worries, or where his head was kind of at with Ashley at the time. And I was taken back. And yeah, it really, I didn't really know what to do, because as her friend, I felt like, okay, she needs to know. But also I felt like she needs to, he's open. He does express concerns. He's always done that, as we've all seen. So I thought, oh no, he's going to talk to her anyway. So I just hinted to her and I said, look, I can't remember exactly what I said to her, but it was almost one of those conversations where you say to your friend, I think you guys need a bit of a chat. Like, it's Christmas, it's a festive period. Yeah. Everyone's heightened emotion sometimes. Like maybe have like a check-in because before you go into the new year. So it's almost like you're trying to be supportive, but also trying to hint, like have open communication. And she took that as, so because I think as girls, you support each other, but you will never support each other in the wrong way either. So you just have to kind of be a little bit open about it. And then the next day, Cal said to me, he goes, oh, I'm feeling a bit unwell today and a bit off. And I was like, oh. And then he goes, oh, I'm just going to go on a run. Like, I'll be fine. He goes on a run, came back. He goes, yeah, I'm good again. That was like the first hint, which I didn't realize that something wasn't right after that trip. And then we went to his. So we went to my aunt's first. We did Christmas there with my dad and my sisters and that side of the family, which was all up for. We stayed there and then we went up to his. So we kind of went from mine to there. So it's like a road trip, a Christmas road trip. Mm-hmm. And then, we did New Year's Eve together. It was me, his brother, his sister-in-law. And it was so fun. Like we had a night out together. Me and Cal were like connecting, like we were dancing together. And it just felt like, oh my God, like this is us going into the new year. And then on the first, obviously, you're not feeling 100% because you've had a few drinks the night before. So we're just chilling all day, like eating chocolate, a lot of chocolate. And then, woke up on the second, came downstairs. He was like, oh, can I have a chat? And I was like, yeah, sure. Assuming, honestly, that we were just going to talk about what we were about to do at the gym, like what workout we're doing. And he was like, he just looked at me and I'm standing there. And it was in his grandma's living room, the one that you guys all saw. And he just goes, so we're going to end this now. And I was like, and what? And he goes, like me and you, like this. And I was like, but why? That was the first, I was just thinking, I was like, but why? And he said, look, along these words, it's going to come across cold, but it's better to do it now. And it's the best decision for both of us. And I remember like my eyes were like welling up, looking at him, thinking, because there was no emotion. Like he was just saying this to me as if like it wasn't even him anymore. Like I was looking at these eyes and they were so just distant from me that I couldn't even tell that this was even happening. And then when I said why again, he goes, we can, go tit for tat and all of this. And I'm thinking, is there even any that? Even when he said that, I thought, how much has been in his head that I didn't even know? And then he goes, but like the main things are, we're very different people. You're more affectionate and emotional, and there's no spark. And I was looking at him thinking, is this even us he's talking about? My head honestly went to, I don't think he's talking about us. Like, where has this come from? And when he said that, I remember the tears just rolling straight back. I was like, don't get emotional. Don't cry. Don't just hold yourself together. And I looked at him and I was like, is there anything we can talk about? And the way he was looking at me, and Cal very much, once he's made a decision, that's it. And I looked at him and I was like, there's nothing, there's no going, like, oh, that's it, isn't it? And he kind of like looked at me like, yeah. And then I said, and what did I say? I said, like, where do we go from here? And he goes, look, I'll always be there for you. And I was like, okay. And then that's when I said, I think I should go. And he goes, no, like you can chill here. Like, I'm going to go to the gym. And I literally at that point was like, I said, no, I think I should go. So he's mentioned now since that moment, he goes, I thought Sarover would just chill, we'll have some space, and then we would talk. That's not to then make us work on anything to stay together. That was just because he just wanted to make sure, yeah, she's good. Like, she's accepted this, she's good, sort of thing. So anyway, I just went next door, got my stuff, and my car was right outside the house. And yeah, de-iced my car and then drove home. And as soon as I got in the car, that's when I broke down. That's when I started crying. And I remember I called my mum, called my sisters. I think I called Katisha. I called Ashley because I just had to be on the phone driving because I was driving for 4.5. Well, it was longer than that because it was icy, snowy. And I just had to stay on the phone because I knew the moment I come off the phone, I shouldn't be driving, basically. And then I got home and my sisters were here to basically pick me up. And a few days later, I think it was on the weekend at this point, then I got a message from him. And the paragraph basically said, it's not what you would want to hear, but you'll trust me, this is better in the long term. You'll realize why, X, Y, Z. And then at the end, it was like, wishing you a happy, healthy, wealthy 2025.
Oh my goodness.
There was nothing to say, hope you're okay. Gross. I'm sorry. We do need to talk. Because, if I've left and you think that we were going to have a conversation, well, then surely you would say, but we can have a chat. Like, do you want to talk? Never. It was never like that at all afterwards.
He didn't even de-ice your car. He could have at least done that.
Natalie, if I'm going to be honest, it didn't even matter at that point. I just stood there and I remember I pulled my door open. I grabbed the de-ice and I was just like, and he did say, he goes, are you okay? I was like, yep. And I just remember I was like, get me the F out of here right now. Like, just de-ice this car.
I just got to go.
Yeah. Like, honestly, it was just, oh my God.
Yeah, that's insane for him to even think that everything's just like okay. Yeah. And the fact that we're different people because you're like emotional and affectionate. Hello, that's every girl. Like, that's just a nurturing side of somebody.
He needs to literally date a statue.
I agree. Natalie,
someone who won't like talk to him, won't touch him. No, that's what he needs.
But do you know what the weirdest thing is? Like, even so, when I went to Ireland with him, I took him to the Game of Thrones tour, and we did like a little road trip. Yeah, I've only ever watched like a few episodes, so But anyway, we did that. And because I knew that was something on his bucket list to do. And at the time, we basically had to hire a car. I hadn't done that before. I didn't know you need a credit card. I didn't know a lot of things that were going to be real. I was like, cool, this is really cheap. You hire a car and you turn up and you just pick it up. And the guy who was serving me was quite rude. And he was a bit like, oh, this girl doesn't know anything. So I felt really intimidated. And I actually started to have tears in my eyes thinking, oh my God, like, now Cal has to step in. I was trying to make sure everything was perfect for him. And when you want something to go perfectly and it doesn't, it just knocks you back. So we get into the car, he dealt with it, he sorted it out, which I will give credit to him for. And I had tears in my eyes, didn't cry. I never actually bawled my eyes out once or ever like shouted with him or lost it with him. So when he says emotional, I know it's okay to be emotional. Like, he's not seen me emotional. And anyway, and I looked at him and I was like, Cal, can you not tell like I'm upset? And he looked at me and he goes, well, I don't feel like your emotions warrant the reaction of this situation, and I'm not going to pander to that. And we just drove in silence after that for like 20 minutes. And then at the end, he goes, well, look, if this was anybody else, they may have started having a go at you for like basically screwing this up. I dealt with it. I sorted it out for you. So what's he couldn't understand how I felt.
The worst person to have in your life is somebody who invalidates your feelings. And that pisses me off so much because you should be allowed to be yourself. And I can already tell you were probably like walking on eggshells around him, making sure you're not
That's
like,
what happened after that.
setting him off. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about summer is that I don't have to wear too much makeup, especially if it's humid out. My face literally feels like it's 10 pounds heavier. And by the time I walk anywhere, I feel like I've already melted. That's why I love keeping my makeup really minimal this summer. Just a little blush, a little lip balm, and of course, my go to mascara. The one I swear by is from Thrive Cosmetics. It's so lightweight and clean on my skin, which is perfect for when it's hot out. It's sweat proof and lengthens my lashes so much.
The thing I love about Thrive Cosmetics is that they make certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free products, and it's all made with clean ingredients. Also, for every product purchased, Thrive Cosmetics donates products and funds to help communities thrive. So it means so much more when you buy their product. You're not only enhancing your glow, but you're helping others too. They have given over $150 million in product and cash donations to 600 plus giving partners, which is so amazing.
Maximize your look with minimal effort. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/outofthepods for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/outofthepods. So I know that he texted you around New Year's and like sent you a paragraph and stuff. What was your communication like from then up until the show aired?
So after I left on the 2nd, I got that message about 3 or 4 days later. And then it took me 3 weeks to respond to him because I was just numb. I honestly thought my world had crumbled. I saw when I married him, I was looking at the future. So then I was like grieving him, grieving the future I'd seen. And it was a dark time. It was a really dark time. And after I finally got through to him, he was I think his first message was, "Oh, it's nice to see that you're alive," or something. And I basically tried to ask him like questions. I knew it was over because I knew it's been 3 weeks. Like if he really wanted to make this work, if he wanted to talk to me, he would have tried. So then my next port of call was, I need to figure out why did this end? Because this is a marriage. I'm legally married to you at this point. Like this is not just a relationship. So I tried. I was not getting anything. I was getting told that I live in a fairy tale world. I was getting told like things like nothing lasts forever. There was a lot. It was a quite negative view on life, negative views on marriage. And I didn't recognize this person after that. After the 2nd, when I left, I did not recognize that Cal afterwards. And after that, I changed it because I thought, okay, I'm not getting answers from you. Let me use humor. So I tried to make it lighthearted. So, and I think he says that, he goes, oh, and then we're having messages like we're friends, because that was me trying to figure out a different route to get through to him. Got nowhere. And then it got to the point where now it's become toxic, where I was getting like a gift sent to me. It was becoming sarcastic. And that's when I cut off communication. And he even says that, he goes, oh, and then we had a period of no communication. Then I get some messages from him just before the show's about to air to be like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, no, where were you when I needed the answers to move on, to heal? So you left me then, and now you're going to message me like everything's cool just because the show comes out. Like, I don't trust you now. Like, I don't know who you are. So how do I know? Me then falling for that is going to throw me back in my healing journey. Or you're just going to use that when the show comes out to be like, oh, me and Sarover are good, we're friends. So, if she's saying she's emotional, this is what she went through, don't buy it. Look at us. We're smiling. And I didn't know what to do. So I just had to keep not say anything until the reunion. And that was the first time I heard his voice and saw him in person, was when we were waiting to walk out.
Wow. So since the breakup, you hadn't seen him until you were sitting next to him at the reunion.
Yeah, about to walk out together. And I think he turned around and said, how are you doing? And I was like, don't talk to me. Because I honestly was just trying to hold my shit together at this point. Because I was like, this is traumatic. I'm going to have to now talk about everything. I've got all this love and support coming through. People think like they were rooting for us. They followed us, and some of them even changed their minds. Some of them were like, oh, we weren't too sure, but he said yes, like we're wishing you the best. Hope you're still happily in love. And I'm there like, because there was about 4 days between the reunion and the reunion airing and the wedding episode. So wedding episode, then reunion was 4 days. So in that 4 days, I literally I had to isolate myself from the world because I was thinking, how do I turn around and now say we're not together, and what happened and how it became so bad so quick? But yeah, that was the next time I saw him.
It's wild when you get so much like love and support from the public, but they don't know the full story. So it's like, it's such a hard position to be in. So I give you a lot of credit for going through that, and also telling Cal not to talk to you, because goodbye, you're a stranger now, and don't try to come around now.
I was like, what do you want me to say? And then the worst thing was I was wearing a dress which was like so tight that I couldn't even walk. So Barda, Ashley, Billy, Cal all walked ahead, and I was literally like waddling behind everybody. Yeah, it was just not okay.
Anything to look good, because you looked amazing at the reunion. So I was like, you know what? It was worth a waddle. When you talk about the text he sent before the show came out, I feel like you hear that a lot from relationships that haven't worked out on other Love is Blind season, where the man wants to be on good terms with the woman because they know they did something wrong. They're like, please don't call me out and let's be friends so I don't look as bad at the reunion. But I'm so glad, again, you told your truth. He really needed
to
hear it and see how wrong he was because I feel like when, especially during that conversation during the reunion that Cal has with your mom, I don't think he's really taking accountability. Like, he seems like he is, but then he's like, I booked us a 5-star hotel or something like that. And I was like, oh no, he's going tit for tat because he's not taking full accountability.
And this is the thing with him. And this is the thing about our whole relationship. You heard, everybody heard me finally. They heard me talk, and he had to. And I thought, this is my one opportunity now that he has to hear me no matter what. And that's why I was like, I owe it to the public, I owe it to myself, and I owe it to him to just hear me and hear the truth, because you all followed our journey and you all need to know what happened. And I feel like he needed to know what happened. He needed to know I wasn't okay. And he needed to hear it from my mum, because he built his own relationship with her. He was calling her mum. He would message her privately. We were on a group chat together, and he'd be like, how's your holiday going? How's this going? Like, he would be checking in. So if you've become so integrated into my family and mum's giving you the respect like her own son, you're going to have to hear mum out, because that's the thing I don't think he's ever had. I don't think he's really had anybody ever call him out for his own actions, or ever had to listen to something that he doesn't want to listen to, if that makes sense. And it just had to happen. And then afterwards, you would think he's finally heard me, but instead he wanted to have a coffee and catch up. And I thought, you really, again, haven't even heard. Like, literally, I'm just so dismissed as a person.
I was going to ask you exactly that. Like, do you feel like you, and then that conversation with your mom too, like, do you think you were able to reach him and like kind of get through what you were trying to say? And it looks like the answer is no.
No, he told me, he goes, oh, I spoke to your mum and it was nice. And then I had to go to mum, and I was like, what? Mum goes, Sarover, you know me. She goes, do you think I was ever going to say anything more to him? I just let him talk. She goes, I had to. She goes, oh, you know what I mean? So he's saying nice interaction, and mum's thinking, this is just, you need to honestly, like, because he said to mum, he goes, oh, it would have been nice to watch the wedding or the episodes with Sarover. And my mum was like, you've just ended your marriage with my daughter, and you thought you have the right to still sit with her and watch that. Like, he was going to be my shoulder to cry on when I was watching my wedding day. Like, it's just so, I've had to honestly strengthen myself so much during all this, because it does not feel normal.
Yeah, I'd be so angry. And I also saw during the show, he posted his vows on his Instagram.
Yeah.
And so people were like, oh, they are definitely still together.
What it was is he posted it because, and he says it in his caption, and he said it multiple times. He even asked, I think, his followers, he was like, because at that point I was keeping tabs, because I was like, I need to make sure I know what's happening because I didn't need to follow him, but I needed to know what was really being said behind,
We've been there. Yeah. You got to take tabs.
You got to use the Finsta.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, oh, who wants to hear my full vows? And he put up a poll. And then when he posted them, he goes, he was so taken back that his vows got edited and cut, that he wanted to make sure everybody knows these were his full vows. This is what he said to me, because he felt like he was basically done dirty. So even like the episode with my mum and sister, he then had to feel that he needed to explain it all, because he felt like he was done dirty in that episode. He was never done dirty. Everything was, You know what I mean? So it was because of him. It was all to do with him. I was not. I didn't come into the equation. Didn't care that you're about to post the vows that he said to me on our wedding day. He didn't care.
Which, by the way, technically he didn't really mean them, because if he would have followed through with action.
And I was all like, what do you mean you got done dirty, Cal? You got the best edit you could have.
He doesn't feel honestly. He doesn't feel it.
I know. I think it's the fact that producers knew the ending, and I'm sure they could have found footage where it shows, like, ultimately it's not this happy story. And I think it's because of you, Sarover. He got a fairly neutral/good edit.
Well, honestly, Natalie, what you watch in our relationship and our journey is exactly how it was. Like, a lot of people ask me, like, was this edited in a certain way? Was this done? I said, no, guys. I said, exactly. That's why I wasn't even anxious when this all came out, because it was in the storyline, because I knew I was true to myself. So I wasn't worried about what anybody was going to see. What I was most worried about is anybody really rooting for us and then the come down afterwards, because then I ended up grieving with everybody else afterwards, and that was the hardest part. Was I'm not grieving him at that point. I was grieving the relationship because I felt for everybody. But yeah, what you see is exactly how our relationship was, but the scene with mum and my sister was about a 4-hour dinner. So he did say those things, but there was more to it, because otherwise, am I going to really marry someone because they say my accent's cool, my mum's done a good job, and we're North and South reuniting? No, that's never going to happen. So there was more to that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that he was just a little nervous, and then he turned it around completely after that.
Yeah.
So,
but isn't that scary, knowing that your storyline is actually how it was in real life?
Yeah.
Because on the show, it really seems like he's all in. He's so confident in your relationship and getting married. I cannot imagine what it felt like when he broke up with you, knowing that the Cal we saw on the show is what you experienced. Because typically for Deepti and I, we're always like, more happened behind the scenes. Like, I fought with my fiance a lot behind the scenes. And so I was like, not saying it's not real life.
You just
but
feel like
there
there's
was
more that goes on. Yeah.
But I feel like with Cal, he hasn't given you that closure that you're looking for. Like, you just want understanding and, just to kind of understand where it went wrong.
The closure, honestly, for me, the closure came from the public. That's where I got my most closure, because I have so much respect for them, in the fact that even when people said to me, you should have seen the red flags from the beginning, you should have walked away when he said his usual type was definitely not you, XYZ. And I would read these and then I would look at, but why would they say this? And honestly, I've taken it as I've learned a lot, because they were right. There was things that I did not see. And going forward, I've got so many take-home messages now when I step into dating, because I've not started dating again. Like, this has been a journey this year to just emotionally recover and build myself up. But now I am at that point where I'm ready to date. And when I do, I feel like I've got the whole public behind me and they're rooting me. And I feel like, I'm never going to be alone now, because I can kind of just confide in them.
Yeah.
I love that.
Absolutely. And me and Natalie are going to be here for you.
100%. I love that. Yeah.
No, I love that Cal was your stepping stone to finding an amazing man for you. He's obviously taught you a lot about what you don't want in a relationship.
Yeah.
Going back to the show, was there anything that shocked you about what happened with the other couples or their storylines? Was there anything that was just like very new to you?
I think Katisha and Jab shocked me, because Katisha was one of my closest friends when we were filming, and for her, everything that she told me was going good. And maybe that's that hopefulness, but seeing how the relationship was behind closed doors, that broke my heart. And I did struggle to watch that. And Jed and Barda, I thought they were honestly the strongest couple. I was rooting so much for them. I was like, this is like mum and dad. This is couple goals. So even like the day, like after they got married, I think I even texted Barda being like, congratulations. I didn't even ask her, like, how was your day? What happened? Because I knew they were planning a honeymoon at some point. So I didn't know if that was what they'd done. So I said congratulations. So that was one of my biggest shocks.
Oh, you didn't know she was going to say no?
No.
Wow. I'm assuming you guys all talk about
correct
what you're going to say. I didn't realize that was kind of a last minute decision.
No, it honestly, this is why I keep saying to her, like, Barda is so strong. For her to have said no, there's a reason why. Because she was a yes. They were the strongest yes out of all of us.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so proud of her, honestly, because to say no, it's harder than to say yes. So for her to have done that, like, and you even seen the episode, like, she's saying, like, checking and making sure he's okay and his family are okay and her family are okay. It's like, because she wanted to that's how she is. She cares so much about everyone. So yeah, honestly, we cried so much watching that together.
Aw. Yeah. And that is the best part about Love is Blind. I mean, obviously, I'm sure the couples who got married and are still together, I'm sure they'll say that's their best part. But finding Natalie and friends from the show, I think is like such a silver lining. And I'm really happy that you have your group of girls that you bonded with. That bond never goes away. So I'm really happy you have that too. Yeah.
We say it's like a sisterhood like no other, because you trauma bonded, but you've also now life bonded, but you also know so much about each other that a lot of people don't actually ever figure out sometimes, because what you go through it's insane. It really is. Like when you look back on, you're like, whoa, and we only had each other because we didn't have phones, which obviously, as you know, but some people are, oh, but you get your phones at some point. I'm like, yeah, later once you moved in together, by that point, so much has happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's really great. Like, I get really excited thinking about this, 20, 30, 40 years from now, when this is all kind of like a distant memory, and hopefully we have our own families and hopefully, partners with us, that we can look back and it's not this like traumatic time, but something that like really was exciting looking back on it, like being on Netflix and a reality TV show and meeting great women. And I don't know, I think it's going to be really fun, like having this bond with women that you went through this experience and like talking and laughing about it one day. I think that gets me really excited.
It's true. I keep saying to everyone, even though the chapter with Cal closed, the next chapter is so much brighter, because you're stepping into it with this newfound confidence, this newfound love for life, and this newfound sort of happiness that you realize that you deserve. But you're doing it on the basis of all these life lessons, but with these new friendships, like new everything. You're meeting all new people. So it's almost like it is a step up, which you don't realize at the time. You think your world's coming to an end when things don't work out, and in relationships in general, you just think that's it temporarily. But look at us now. That's the outcome later. So yeah, the next chapter's always better.
I couldn't have said that better myself. One of the biggest parts about this season was the whole photo booth incident.
Oh, God.
Can you give us some insight into that whole situation? Because I know our pod besties, love a little bit of drama.
Yeah. I also did want to ask, like, were you aware what had happened, like, as you were filming, or did you guys find out, like, when the show came out?
So I was really good. The whole time during filming, I was barely drinking. I kept drinking water. I just wanted to make sure this is my relationship. I need to be level-headed and give it my all. But that was the first time where I was like, I'm going to let my hair down. I'm going to have a few drinks. Everyone's going to be here. So I had no idea what was happening. The only drama I knew was Patrick and Anu. And you see me literally sipping my drink, watching it as if it's like an episode of TV that I'm watching. And that was the only bit I knew. After that, I literally ended up with a pizza, garlic dip all over me, and I was in bed. So what happened in the after party, I was asleep. But I found out a few days later what happened. And yeah, there was a photo booth in this club, and there was no curtain, and Sophie and Jav had gone into it. I don't know what they did in it. All that I know is he says we were talking, we had things to discuss. And that was that. And I knew, obviously, from watching, as you guys watched, that obviously Katisha wasn't happy that night. And I just assumed it was all about the photo booth scene. But I think what it is, it's not even about the curtain or no curtain. Obviously, we know there's no curtain. But the fact is, I just didn't understand the intentions. That's all it is. And I know Jav has spoken about it and he's cleared it. But it was just the intentions of it. Like, it was so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
Yeah. I had one last question for you about Cal before we move on to kind of just you and your personal goals. I know that he's doing a lot of podcasts right now. Is there anything that you've heard on podcasts that you kind of just want to like clear the air about, and you're like, you know what, this is not how it happened? Or are you just like, you know what, I'm done with this chapter. I'm moving on.
I've not heard anything he's spoken about.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't do what it is
Best place
because
to be.
because I'm like, whatever you wanted to say to me, you have my number. You've been able to contact me since January. You can still contact me I've only blocked you on Instagram and TikTok, but like you still have my number.
As you
I
should.
just think, I think for my own boundaries, my own healing, I don't need to hear what he has to say because he's never listened to me before. He's never heard me before. So what he's talking about, I just don't trust.
Love that.
Yeah.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Correct.
Love that. Makes sense. And what's the update on the divorce? Like, have you filed? Also, was there a prenup in place?
So he didn't want anything like that. We can do a post-nup. We didn't have enough time in terms of the experiment time to do a prenup. But he was like, no, he didn't want a post-nup. And I was like, okay, that was a reassurance that this is a long-term commitment. But no, I actually went on the Gov website today to see, like, can I file for divorce? And they were like, it's too soon. So you have to wait until you reach a year. So I can file on the 1st of October, which I didn't realize is literally in a few weeks. Yeah, in England and Wales. I looked at the website and it was like, you're too soon to want a divorce. I was like, wow, that's a really weird way to put it. But yeah, you just have to wait a little bit longer.
Okay, it's coming up. Woo.
Yeah, I was like,
exciting.
wow, this has come so soon because I kept saying to everyone, oh, in a year's time you can divorce, in a year's time. And I was like, oh my God, a year's time is literally in a few weeks. So yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. You guys filmed a year ago or around a year ago. So
yeah,
it's crazy how time flies too.
Well, the saying is time flies when you're having fun, but time flies when you're really healing from trauma.
Yeah. Absolutely. From the healing and trauma and the experience you've gone through, what would you say is your biggest learning lesson?
My biggest learning lesson is to have more confidence in myself, to know that I am enough. I'm enough for the right people, the right person. And for me, I've learned love has no boundaries. I literally tried to fall in love with the basis of expectations and a tick box exercise that was instilled for me from my culture, I guess, and from the culture that I've experienced. And now I've realized, no, love has no boundaries. It has no religion. It has nothing like that. So yeah, going forward, I would date with an open mind, an open heart, and take the lessons from what I've just gone through as my learning. And hopefully that's the way I'll meet the right person.
I love that.
Yeah.
I know you said you're probably going to date soon. I know you're not right now, which totally makes sense. After Love is Blind and your experience with Cal, we'll call it an experience. What have you added to your red flags list and also what you're looking for?
Red flags, I think when someone says their usual type, that doesn't usually change. I know I thought I could be the one to change that, but I realized, so that's, you're good at a lot of things. You're not really good at that. So, I've learned if someone has a usual type, just listen a bit more to that. I've also learned that you need to really know what someone's past is when it comes to dating and actually explore it a bit more. Because if I explore that a bit more, I would have picked up on commitment, possibly issues. I would have picked up on avoidant as well. I would have picked up on a lot more. So I think I've seen, because there wasn't really red flags. I'll call them amber flags because I don't want to, taint his whole character in our relationship. But that's what I would say going forward.
Yeah. I like that too. After every relationship, I add to my list of things I don't want and things I'm looking for.
I don't want to write the list anymore. I don't want to write my personal list.
We were talking the other day about biodatas in the Indian culture and the fact that, you just have a full page of what they do for a profession, what their parents do, what their sisters and brothers do. I'm like, no. I need to know, are you a good person?
Correct. Literally. I'm like, biodata doesn't even make sense to me anymore. I know Seema Auntie's based her whole business on it, but if you're going out there and you're going with biodatas and then you're saying you're going to get 70 to 80% max, you're not dating the family, you're not dating the piece of paper, you're dating a human, and a human's personality cannot be written on a piece of paper. So I do not actually I shouldn't diss her too much in case she hears this, but I don't know.
We're just going to stay away from that, but to each their own if they want to go through that process.
I wish you well.
Lastly, what does the future hold for you? What's next after Love is Blind?
So I keep saying to everybody that Sarover 2.0 is now living. That basically just looks like Sarover's going to let go of all her expectations that have been placed upon her since day one. And she's just going to live life. She's going to enjoy life. She's going to live free, putting herself first, putting her happiness first. And I don't know where that will lead to, but all that I know is I have a voice and I will just want to make sure I use it appropriately to help others, especially in the South Asian community as well. And I know that resonates with us as well, because a lot of what we've all gone through in terms of putting ourselves out there dating, and then me getting married to somebody from a different culture, and then now I'm going through a divorce, all these taboo subjects are normal part of life sometimes, and that needs to be normalized, because I'm not any less of a person because of what I went through. If anything, I found I don't know, I think I've added to who I am as a person through what I went through. So yeah, that's what I want to do going forward, and see where my voice goes.
Oh, I love that. That just makes me super excited to see all the amazing big things that you're going to do in the future. And, we just wish you the best of luck.
Yes. And you're such an amazing person. And we just know that so many amazing things are coming your way. We're really excited to see what's next for you. And thank you for coming on Out of the Pods. We really love talking to you.
No, thank you for having me. It's been so good.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely stay in touch. And if you ever are in Chicago, you better come visit us.
Oh, 100%, guys. I would honestly love to. I really would.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, if we're ever in the UK, we're definitely hanging out and having some drinks.
You have to tell me. I will literally have an itinerary for a day planned.
I love that.
Well, Pod Besties, I hope you loved hearing from Sarover like we did. If you guys have any questions, reach out to her or us, and we'll relay the message.
Yeah, and make sure you leave a review and subscribe.
See you next Wednesday.
Bye.